Deep in the outer rim of the galaxy, beyond the charted maps of the Galactic Council, an enormous shadow moved silently through the stars. It was not a comet. It was not a planet. It was a starship, but unlike any ship anyone had ever seen. Its hull shimmered with a strange energy, and its edges seemed to bend the light around it. Entire fleets had tried to study it. Entire civilizations had tried to board it. None had succeeded. Aliens called it the Refuser. It refused all contact. It ignored all messages. It dodged every attempt to scan or approach it. Some said it was alive, in a way that no machine could be alive. Others whispered it carried the power to destroy worlds. Fear and fascination spread across alien civilizations like wildfire. In the Galactic Council's chambers, representatives argued endlessly. "We must control it," shouted a reptilian ambassador with silver scales. "It could tip the balance of power in the galaxy." "No," hissed a squid-like diplomat. "We must destroy it before it chooses anyone. Its technology is too dangerous." But fleets sent to capture the Starship found themselves outmaneuvered. Ships disappeared, not destroyed, but blocked by energy fields they could not pierce. Even the most advanced alien weapons bounced harmlessly off the shimmering hull. The Refuser moved as if it had a mind of its own, a silent intelligence judging who was worthy and who was not. On a small blue planet far from the Council's reach, Captain Aaron stared at the console of his ship, the horizon's edge. He was human, and humans had never been considered important by the galaxy's major powers, but humans had curiosity, courage, and a sense of problem-solving that many aliens lacked. Aaron's sensors picked up a strange signal. It was faint, almost like a heartbeat in the silence of space. But unlike the garbled transmissions of alien ships, this signal felt deliberate, personal. It pulsed with rhythm, almost as if it was calling him. "Strange," Aaron muttered. His dark eyes reflected the glow of the console. "It's almost like it knows we're here." He had heard the stories, of course. The legendary Refuser, the starship that no alien could touch. Many had tried. Many had failed. Yet somehow, he felt that humans were different. Somehow, he believed this ship might respond to him. Aaron's ship approached cautiously. The closer he got, the more the starship shimmered, bending the starlight like water. It was enormous, wider than some moons, and taller than the tallest buildings on Earth. Its surface pulsed with strange energy, patterns that seemed almost alive. "All right," Aaron said to his small crew, a mixture of humans and a few allied species. "Let's see what it wants." The crew watched nervously as the starship seemed to notice them. Or maybe it didn't. Either way, their sensors detected subtle changes in the energy around the ship. The ship's surface shimmered in waves, almost like it was breathing. "Captain," one of his officers said, "other species have tried to approach. None survived. Why are we different?" Aaron shook his head. "Not everyone is trying to conquer it. Not everyone is afraid. Let's just see what it wants, carefully." Unlike alien fleets, humans did not send weapons first. Aaron did not order scans that might feel invasive. Humans observed, they adapted, they waited for the right moment. He studied the energy patterns and noticed something. The pulses of light from the starship were not random. They formed sequences, almost like questions, like riddles written in energy. Aaron leaned forward. "It's testing us. I can feel it. It wants to know what we're made of." Hours passed. The starship did not attack. It did not move aggressively. It just hovered, almost silently, like a sentinel waiting for someone to prove themselves. "Captain," another officer whispered, "what if it's alive? What if it judges us and finds us unworthy?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Then at least we'll know. But I think it sees something in humans. Something different. Patience, curiosity, courage." They continued to orbit, and the starship responded subtly. Energy pulses rippled across its hull. It was like it was communicating without words. Aliens could not understand it because they expected threats, dominance, or submission. Humans, however, read it like a puzzle. Suddenly, a shape formed in the energy above the starship. It was a doorway of light opening without sound. Aaron's heart pounded. "Everyone, stay calm. We're going in." He piloted Horizon's Edge through the doorway. The ship responded to their presence, adjusting its energy fields to allow them entry. Humans did not shout or fire weapons. They simply moved forward, cautiously, carefully, with respect. Inside, the starship was more magnificent than any human imagination. Vast chambers glowed with soft light, and the walls shifted subtly as if alive. There was no bridge, no captain's chair, only pathways that seemed to lead toward understanding. Aaron walked carefully, studying the alien architecture. "It's showing us itself," he whispered. "Not just letting us in, but revealing. Trying to see if we notice." The crew followed, mesmerized. They saw symbols in the walls, patterns in the energy streams, and strange pulses that seemed to respond to their thoughts. Every movement, every choice was observed. Hours turned into a full cycle. Aaron realized that the starship was not a machine in the usual sense. It was a guardian, a judge. It waited for someone who could combine intelligence, empathy, and courage. Aliens tried to conquer or destroy it. Humans simply approached with curiosity and respect. Finally, a central chamber revealed itself. Light poured from an unknown source. A voice, not spoken but felt, entered Aaron's mind. "Why have you come?" it asked. Aaron blinked. The voice was calm, neither threatening nor welcoming. "We want to understand. We want to know why you refuse all others. Others seek power. They seek control. You seek knowledge. You act with caution and courage. You adapt. That is why you may proceed." Aaron's crew gasped. The starship had spoken, in a way they could understand. Humans had been chosen, not because they were strong or numerous, but because they were human, curious, brave, and moral, in a way the aliens could not comprehend. The chambers shifted, opening pathways deeper into the starship. Each step was a test, but also an invitation. Aaron felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Every human on his crew felt it. They were not just explorers now, they were participants in something far greater. As they moved deeper, Aaron looked back at the stars outside. Alien fleets still hovered at a distance, frustrated and confused. The starship had refused them all, and now for the first time in centuries it had chosen a human. Aaron knew this was only the beginning. The starship had opened its doors to him, but its true purpose remained a mystery. What trials awaited? What secrets did it hold? And how would humanity, small and underestimated in the galaxy, rise to meet them? One thing was certain: the galaxy was about to learn that humans were unlike any other species it had encountered. And the refuser, the starship that rejected all aliens, had begun a new chapter, one that would change the fate of countless worlds. For now, Aaron and his crew stepped into the unknown, guided by curiosity, courage, and the unmistakable sense that humans were meant for something extraordinary. The stars outside seemed to shimmer with approval, and somewhere deep inside the starship, a silent observer waited. It had made its choice, and that choice was human. The deeper Aaron and his crew moved into the starship, the more they realized it was unlike anything they had seen. The walls were alive with light, flowing like liquid crystal. Patterns shifted constantly, as if the ship were thinking, watching, and testing them at the same time. Aaron led carefully, keeping his eyes on the subtle cues in the environment. "Stay alert," he whispered. "This ship isn't just showing itself. It's asking something, testing us." His crew nodded, though their faces betrayed awe and fear. No human, no alien had ever entered the refuser. They were the first. Hours passed. The corridors twisted and turned in ways that made no sense. Sometimes a path would end abruptly, replaced by a wall of energy. At other times, the walls themselves, would ripple, forming symbols that glowed faintly. "I don't understand," said Lieutenant Mira, a young human officer. "Are these instructions or a warning?" "Both, maybe," Aaron replied. "It's trying to communicate. It's trying to see how we think." Suddenly, the floor beneath them shifted. A platform rose, carrying them upward through a chamber filled with floating geometric shapes. The shapes rotated, pulsed, and reformed constantly, almost like a three-dimensional puzzle. Aaron studied them carefully. He saw that the shapes weren't random. Each movement was a pattern, a sequence. It was subtle, but he realized the shapes responded to their actions. "It's a puzzle," he said. "Not a trap. It wants us to solve it." The crew hesitated, but Aaron stepped forward. He touched one of the glowing shapes. Instantly it rotated and the others adjusted their positions. One by one, the crew followed his lead, experimenting with touch and movement. Hours passed, but slowly, the puzzle began to respond positively. Patterns aligned, symbols glowed brighter. The platform stopped moving once the sequence was complete. Aaron exhaled. "It's approving us. We're doing the right thing." As the platform gently lowered them to a new chamber, the ship pulsed with light, almost like a heartbeat. Aaron sensed a presence, not threatening but aware. The refuser was watching closely. When they reached the new chamber, the walls shimmered with images. Entire worlds appeared, rotating silently in holographic space. Alien civilizations, star systems, even planets that no map recorded. Each image seemed to ask a question. How would you act here? What would you do? Aaron felt a chill. "It's not just testing our intelligence," he said. "It's testing our judgment, our morality." The first trial appeared. A holographic world showed a city in chaos. Alien invaders were attacking, and civilians, small, fragile beings, were trapped. The simulation asked a silent question. Who do you save? Aaron studied the scene. The aliens had overwhelming force, but the civilians were in danger. A simple tactical choice could protect the city, but at the cost of the lives of a few key figures, who might change the course of the planet's future. Aaron spoke quietly. We save those in immediate danger. We do what is right first, even if it's hard. The holographic aliens paused, then retreated. The city stabilized. The walls pulsed, brighter this time. The ship was approving again. See, Aaron said to his crew, it's not looking for cleverness or weapons skill. It's looking at how we think, how we value life. The next challenge was different. A chamber opened filled with mirrors, or something like mirrors. Each reflection showed a different version of themselves. Some heroic, some cowardly, some cruel. Choose who you are, a voice or thought seemed to whisper in their minds. The crew hesitated. Many humans instinctively reached for bravery, others for safety. Aaron closed his eyes. He thought not of what he wanted, but of what humanity needed. He chose courage, tempered by care, and compassion for all. The mirrors shimmered and aligned. They were no longer reflections, they were windows showing what humans could become. The ship pulsed, almost vibrating with energy, as if acknowledging their choices. Outside the chamber, the aliens' fleets lingered in space. They could not understand what was happening. They had assumed a simple power test, but the refusers' challenges were subtle, ethical, and impossible for those who valued domination over morality. This is incredible, Lieutenant Mira said softly. No alien would even think this way. They only seek control or strength. Aaron nodded. Exactly. That's why we're different. That's why the ship notices us. A sudden alarm startled the crew. A new puzzle appeared. A maze of energy. Fields. Touch the wrong path, and the crew would be trapped or sent back to the beginning. Aaron stepped forward, studying the patterns carefully. He realized the energy moved like water, flowing around obstacles but never repeating the same path. Twice. He took a deep breath and walked steadily, feeling the rhythm of the maze. His crew followed, trusting his instincts. Step by step, they adapted to the energy's flow. The maze tested patience, coordination, and observation. The aliens outside would have tried brute force or hacking. Humans used observation, intuition, and teamwork. At the maze's center, they found a small chamber. Inside floated a single object, a sphere of light. It radiated warmth and intelligence. Aaron reached out and the sphere responded, forming patterns in the air. Slowly, it projected a scene of humans across the galaxy, exploring, helping, and learning. It showed how humans adapted to impossible environments, solved problems, and worked together. The ship was not just testing them, it was observing, recording, and recognizing the qualities that made humans unique. "Do you see?" Aaron said to his crew. "It's not about power. It's about who we are, how we act when no one else is watching, how we make choices that matter." Mira nodded. "So, it's not just a machine. It's alive in a way. It's choosing us." Hours turned into cycles. Each chamber, each puzzle was a test, but also a lesson. The starship's energy responded to their choices. It did not reward ego or ambition. It rewarded thoughtfulness, courage, and compassion. At one point, a chamber filled with simulations of alien civilizations presented a silent question. Would you help them or ignore them? Many humans instinctively thought of trade, alliances, or survival. Aaron considered the simulations carefully. "We help," he whispered. "Not because we gain, but because it's the right thing to do." The ship pulsed brighter than ever. Light flowed through the corridors like rivers. Aaron felt a warmth that was neither heat nor cold. It was acknowledgement, respect. The refuser was pleased. Outside, the alien fleets grew impatient. "It's just a machine," shouted a reptilian. "Admiral, it cannot make choices." But their frustration was useless. The refuser's tests were beyond simple logic. It demanded empathy, creativity, courage, and ethics, things aliens rarely valued. Humans thrived where aliens failed. By the end of the cycle, Aaron and his crew stood in a central chamber. The starship's energy pulsed around them, forming shapes that felt like eyes watching. The final test was not a puzzle or maze. It was a question. Do you choose responsibility? Aaron looked at his crew. Each of them nodded. They had learned from the tests, grown through the challenges, and proven themselves capable. "Yes," Aaron said aloud. "We accept responsibility. We choose to protect, to learn, to act wisely." The starship pulsed once, strongly, like a heartbeat of approval. The walls shimmered and parted, revealing a path forward, deeper into the ship. The refuser had made its choice. It had tested intelligence, morality, and courage. It had watched the humans solve puzzles that required thought and heart, and it had judged them worthy. Aaron exhaled. "We've passed the first test, but I have a feeling there's much more to come." Lieutenant Mira smiled. "At least we know we're on the right path. No one else has ever gotten this far." "Yes," Aaron agreed. "No alien. Only humans." The crew moved forward, ready for whatever awaited them. Outside, the stars shone silently as if the universe itself was watching, and somewhere deep inside the refuser, the ship's energy pulsed with curiosity and approval. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. Humans had entered a ship that rejected every alien, and they had passed its first challenges, not with force, not with dominance, but with courage, intelligence, and heart. For the first time in centuries, the refuser had acknowledged a species, and that species was human. Aaron and his crew moved deeper into the refuser, the starship that had rejected every alien species. Every chamber they passed shimmered with living light, patterns shifting as if watching them. The earlier challenges had been puzzles and moral tests, but now the ship's trials became more complex, more personal. "This feels different," Lieutenant Mira said, her voice quiet. "The ship is testing something more than intelligence or ethics now." Aaron nodded. I think it's testing our worth, our judgment under pressure, our ability to act when the stakes are high. The next chamber was enormous. The walls glowed with a soft, pulsating light. At the center floated a holographic world, alive with activity. Ships flew across the sky, cities bustled, and creatures of all shapes moved about. Aaron realized this simulation was more than a puzzle. It was a living test. The world faced a crisis, a natural disaster that would destroy entire cities unless someone acted quickly. Yet the solution was not simple. Any action could save some, but endanger others. We have to choose wisely, Aaron said. This isn't about heroism. It's about judgment, about responsibility. He studied the scene carefully. The disaster was caused by a collapsing energy core beneath the planet's surface. Shutting it down directly would risk the lives of key engineers. Finding a safer way required creativity and calculated risk. The crew worked together, discussing strategies. Human minds thrived here, thinking beyond logic and brute force. Finally, Aaron made a decision. We redirect the energy. We protect the people at immediate risk, while mitigating the core's collapse with calculated measures. The simulation paused, then slowly showed the planet stabilizing. Cities were saved, engineers were spared, and the disaster was contained. The walls of the chamber pulsed brightly, like applause without sound. The ship approved our choice, Aaron said softly. It's seeing that we value life over convenience, wisdom over speed. Before they could celebrate, the chamber shifted again. They were no longer on the platform, but standing on a bridge overlooking a massive void. Floating islands of light hovered in space, connected by fragile energy bridges. This is a test of courage, Aaron said. And balance. The crew had to cross the bridges to reach the next chamber. Each step required careful judgment, as one wrong move could mean falling into the void. But the bridges responded subtly to their confidence. Hesitation caused instability. Focus and calm allowed steady passage. Aaron stepped first, careful and deliberate. He felt the energy beneath him adjust, supporting his balance. One by one, the crew followed, learning to trust themselves and each other. Once across, they entered a chamber that seemed to respond to thought. The walls displayed visions of themselves, some heroic, some fearful, some selfish. It was as if the ship wanted them to confront who they could be. Choose, the thought whispered in their minds. Choose who you are. Aaron closed his eyes. He did not think of personal glory or recognition. He thought of humanity, of what humans could be when facing impossible odds. He chose courage, tempered by wisdom, and compassion for all beings. The reflections shimmered and aligned. They were no longer mere images but windows showing the potential of human choices. The ship pulsed with approval, and Aaron felt a warmth spreading through the chamber. This is amazing, Mira said. It's not a machine. It's alive in a way that observes, understands, judges. Aaron nodded. And it judges not by strength, not by dominance, but by heart, mind, and courage. Suddenly, the chamber darkened. A new challenge appeared. Holographic aliens surrounded them, each armed and aggressive. But this was not a simulation. They were shadows, illusions that could harm the mind if the crew reacted poorly. Focus, Aaron said. These aren't real. They're testing our reactions, our judgment under stress. The shadows advanced, and instinctively humans could have fought or fled. But Aaron made a different choice. He led his crew in careful movement, avoiding confrontation while neutralizing threats through strategy. Each step was precise, using the environment and logic rather than brute force. The shadows dissolved. The chamber pulsed, brighter than before. The ship was approving again. The refuser was not impressed by strength. It valued adaptability, patience, and strategic thinking. Hours passed. Each chamber, each test, became harder. The next challenge was a moral dilemma. A holographic city faced an enemy attack. The civilians could escape only if someone stayed behind to guide them through danger. Aaron looked at his crew. We can't save everyone, but someone must act to protect the most vulnerable. He stepped forward. I will guide the civilians. The rest of you cover the exits and coordinate the evacuation. The holographic danger was intense, but Aaron's calm decision-making allowed the scenario to succeed. Civilians were protected, the enemy was neutralized, and no life was wasted unnecessarily. The chamber pulsed, the brightest glow yet. It's testing our willingness to take responsibility, Aaron said. Not just for ourselves, but for others. The walls shimmered and parted. A new passage opened, leading to a chamber filled with floating symbols and alien writing. It was a puzzle unlike any before. The symbols rearranged themselves in response to thought and action. Aaron realized this test was not just about solving it, but understanding it. Patterns appeared, then shifted. Some were traps, others were clues. Work together, Aaron instructed. Observe, communicate, and adapt. His crew studied the symbols carefully. Humans excelled here. They combined logic with creativity. They tested, failed, adjusted, and tried again. Slowly, the puzzle responded. Symbols aligned, creating a map-like structure pointing to the next chamber. Outside the Starship, alien fleets remained in the void, frustrated and helpless. They had thought technology and weapons could conquer the refuser. Yet here, humans navigated challenges that no alien could even begin to understand. This is incredible, Mira whispered. We're passing tests no one else could. Aaron smiled faintly. Not because we're stronger, not because we're faster, because we think differently, we care differently, and we act differently. The final challenge of the cycle appeared, a chamber of choice. The refuser created a simulation where Aaron and his crew faced impossible odds. A civilization was at risk, and decisions had to be made instantly. Wrong choices could have catastrophic consequences. Aaron considered the scenario carefully. They could try brute force and risk countless lives, or think creatively to minimize harm. He guided his crew in forming a solution that relied on strategy, compassion, and precise action. The scenario succeeded. The chamber pulsed with warm, radiant light. The refuser's energy seemed to embrace them. Aaron felt an undeniable sense of approval. It has tested our intelligence, our courage, and our morality, he said. And we have passed. The ship sees that humans act with heart and mind together. That is why it has chosen us. Lieutenant Mira looked around in awe. No alien could do this. They would have tried to dominate or destroy the challenges. We understand them differently. Yes, Aaron said. And that is why we're here. That is why the refuser responded to humans when it rejected everyone else. As they moved forward, deeper into the Starship, Aaron realized that these trials were only the beginning. The refuser had more tests, more challenges, perhaps even dangers they could not yet imagine. But for now, humans had proven something remarkable. They had faced the silent challenges of a starship that no alien could master. They had solved puzzles, navigated moral dilemmas, and acted with courage and creativity. Outside, alien fleets drifted, frustrated and uncertain. The galaxy was watching a species it had underestimated. Humans were small, few in number, but in mind, heart, and action they were unique. And somewhere deep within the refuser, its energy pulsed like a heartbeat, acknowledging the humans' success. It had tested them, observed them, and judged them worthy. Aaron looked at his crew, pride shining in his eyes. We've passed the silent challenges, but the refuser has more for us, and I have no doubt we will rise to meet them. The Starship pulsed softly around them, like it was smiling. For the first time in centuries, it had found a species worthy of its attention, and that species was human. The adventure was far from over. The galaxy would soon see that humans were different, capable of rising to challenges that no one else could. The refuser had chosen them, and humanity was ready to prove itself. Aaron and his crew moved through the shimmering corridors of the refuser. Every step seemed guided by the ship itself, as if it was leading them deeper into its heart. The earlier trials had tested their courage, morality, and intellect. Now, the ship seemed to invite them to understand its true purpose. "This feels different," Lieutenant Mira said, her eyes scanning the walls. "The challenges are over, but I feel like it's trying to show us something now." Aaron nodded. "Yes, it's testing something deeper now. It wants us to connect, not just survive or solve puzzles, but understand." The central chamber of the refuser opened before them. Light poured from a source that seemed infinite, warm yet precise, like the heartbeat of the universe. At its center floated a sphere, radiating energy in gentle pulses. The light was not blinding, but it illuminated everything, revealing patterns, images, and data, streaming like stars in a nebula. Aaron stepped closer. The sphere responded to his presence, rippling in waves that reflected his thoughts and intentions. He realized slowly that this starship was not just a machine. It was a consciousness, ancient, aware, and sentient in a way that humans could understand. "It's alive," Mira whispered. "It's not just a ship. It thinks. It feels." "Yes," Aaron agreed. "And it's been waiting for someone like us." The sphere pulsed brighter, projecting a vision of the galaxy. Star systems rotated slowly. Civilizations rose and fell. Alien species moved across their worlds, powerful and proud, yet often reckless and short-sighted. The refuser's test, Aaron realized, had been more than puzzles and simulations. It had been a study of humanity, how humans think, how they act, how they choose. Other species had failed because they sought power, domination, or control. Humans succeeded because they acted with intelligence, courage, and morality, even when no one watched. The sphere shifted, showing humans exploring barren planets, surviving in hostile environments, and solving problems others could not. It showed acts of compassion and ingenuity, small but profound. Aaron saw humans working together, risking their lives for others, thinking creatively where others would have used brute force. The ship's pulse seemed to resonate with him. "You are worthy," it projected into his mind, not as words, but as understanding. Aaron felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. "We are not here to conquer," he whispered. "We are here to learn, to protect, to explore." The sphere responded, illuminating a path forward. The refuser revealed chambers filled with knowledge, ancient star charts, technology that could harness energy in ways humans had only dreamed of, maps to systems beyond the known galaxy. "This is incredible," Mira said. "It's offering us knowledge that could change humanity forever." "Yes," Aaron replied. "But we have to remember why we were chosen. It's not just about power. It's about responsibility, about wisdom, about how we use this knowledge." The starship seemed to respond, pulsing gently. It had observed humans for centuries, not just as individuals but as a species. It had tested them, watched their choices, and recognized the qualities that made humans unique: adaptability, courage, morality, and creativity. The refuser then projected another vision, this one closer to them. It showed a galaxy where humans had a choice: to dominate, to destroy, or to lead with wisdom. The images were not threats, they were possibilities. The ship asked silently, "What will you do?" Aaron understood immediately. Humans had survived against all odds, not through brute force, but through thought, courage, and cooperation. That was their strength. That was why the refuser had chosen them. "We will not use this knowledge to dominate," Aaron said firmly. "We will use it to explore, to protect, to help others, to rise to challenges no one else can face." The refuser pulsed, with approval. Its corridors shimmered with energy, almost like a smile. The ship had made its choice, and now it was forming a true connection with humans. The central sphere then projected another layer of information: technical schematics, Starship protocols, energy systems far beyond human technology. Aaron studied them carefully. Humans could understand these systems, adapt them, and even improve them through ingenuity. "This is more than a gift," Aaron said. "It's a responsibility. Everything we learn here must be used wisely. If we fail, the galaxy could suffer." Mira nodded. "We've been tested. Now it's trusting us." Aaron smiled faintly. "Exactly. And we will not fail." The refuser then revealed a chamber filled with holographic maps of uncharted space. Entire systems beyond the reach of the Galactic Council lay before them. The Starship had traveled these regions, observing civilizations, learning and waiting for someone worthy to guide its power. "This is enormous," Mira said softly. "We could explore places no one has ever seen." "Yes," Aaron agreed. "And the Starship chose us to do it. Humans can see things differently, we can think differently. That's why it responded to us when it refused everyone else." The ship then pulsed with energy, enveloping the humans in a wave that felt like warmth and understanding. It was more than acknowledgement, it was connection. Humans and Starship were aligned in purpose. Aaron felt a surge of responsibility. "We have to respect it," he whispered. "Not just as technology, but as life. It's alive. It has observed countless civilizations, and it has chosen us. That is an honor we cannot take lightly." Mira nodded. "And we have to prove ourselves. Worthy in action, not just words." Suddenly, a new projection appeared. It showed an alien fleet, powerful, aggressive, and impatient, waiting outside the refuser. They had heard of humans inside the ship. They wanted to capture or destroy it, just as they had tried with every other species. Aaron looked at the projection calmly. "They don't understand. They think power alone matters. But the refuser doesn't respond to threats. It responds to wisdom, courage, and morality. That's why humans succeeded." The sphere pulsed brighter, as if agreeing. Then it revealed another layer of instruction: advanced navigation, energy manipulation, and systems that could allow humans to explore and protect the galaxy. The Starship had given them not just knowledge, but the tools to act responsibly. "This is incredible," Mira said. "We could change humanity forever with this." "Yes," Aaron said. "But we must remember why we were chosen. Not for power, for responsibility, for courage, for wisdom." The ship pulsed again. It was silent, yet alive. It had formed a bond with humans that no other species could achieve. And it had made one thing clear: the galaxy would see something new. Humans guided by a starship that no alien could command. Aaron stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. "We are ready," he whispered. "We will explore. We will protect. We will act with the courage and wisdom that earned the refuser's trust." The ship responded with a pulse that resonated through their bodies, almost like a heartbeat. It had accepted them, acknowledged them, and shared its knowledge. Humans had passed the tests, understood its purpose, and formed a connection that no other species could achieve. Outside, alien fleets lingered, confused and frustrated. The refuser had refused them all, and now it had chosen humans. Aaron turned to his crew. "This is only the beginning. We have knowledge, guidance, and a ship that no one else can command. But our choices now will define humanity's future." Lieutenant Mira smiled. "Then let's make it a future worth seeing." Aaron nodded. "Yes, for humans, for the galaxy, for the refuser." The starship pulsed again, softly this time, like a gentle affirmation. It had watched, tested, and now connected with humanity. It had chosen not just a crew but a species, humans, small and underestimated, yet capable of rising to challenges no one else could face. For the first time in centuries, the refuser had found a partner, and that partner was human. Aaron stood on the bridge of the refuser, feeling the pulse of the enormous starship beneath his feet. It had observed humans for centuries, tested their courage, intelligence, and morality, and now it had chosen them. The ship's energy flowed through every corridor, every chamber, responding to thought and intention. Humans had passed its trials, and now, for the first time, they commanded it. Lieutenant Mira walked beside him, her eyes wide with awe. "I still can't believe it," she whispered. "No alien could ever control this ship. And now, it's ours to guide." Aaron smiled faintly. "Not ours to control, ours to lead responsibly. That's the difference. The refuser doesn't respond to domination or force. It responds to wisdom, courage, and heart. That's why it chose humans." Outside, alien fleets drifted in orbit, observing but uncertain. The story of humans entering the refuser had spread quickly, and many feared what the small, underestimated species could do. But the humans inside the ship were not thinking of domination. They were thinking of exploration, knowledge, and protection. "Captain," an officer said, "the alien fleets are waiting. They expect aggression. Should we—" "No," R&I interrupted firmly. "We don't react with violence unless absolutely necessary. The ship doesn't respond to threats, and neither do we. We show them a different way." The refuser pulsed, acknowledging Aaron's decision. The ship had chosen humans not because they were aggressive, but because they were responsible, courageous, and creative. Every decision now had to reflect that. Trust. Aaron's crew began familiarizing themselves with the ship's systems. Unlike human technology, which required physical manipulation, the refuser responded to thought, emotion, and intention. Humans adapted quickly, using observation, logic, and intuition. Aliens could not have done this. They relied on brute force or rigid commands. Hours passed as the humans learned the ship's capabilities. They discovered systems for energy manipulation, faster than light navigation, and communication across light years. The knowledge was vast, almost overwhelming, but humans were uniquely capable of understanding and integrating it. "We could explore beyond any known map," Mira said, her voice full of excitement. "We could reach places no one has ever seen." "Yes," Aaron replied. "And we could help civilizations before conflict reaches them, solve problems that others think impossible, protect lives where others fail. That is why we were chosen." Suddenly, a warning pulse echoed through the ship. The alien fleets outside were becoming impatient. They did not understand the refuser or its choice. They had expected resistance or surrender, but humans acted differently. Aaron stepped forward. "Open communication. Let them know we mean no harm, but also that we are not theirs to command." The refuser pulsed in response, amplifying the message across the void. Alien commanders received the transmission and studied it, baffled. Humans were not responding with aggression, yet they were in control of the legendary refuser. "This is unprecedented," a reptilian admiral hissed. "They are humans and they command the refuser." "Yes," Aaron said softly to his crew. "And they will learn that force is not the only way. Wisdom, courage, and morality matter too." The B ship then displayed a projection of the galaxy, showing unstable star systems, regions of conflict, and civilizations on the brink of collapse. Aaron realized the potential. Humans could make a difference where no one else dared to intervene. "We need to act," he said. "Let's start with systems where lives are at immediate risk. We don't have to fight anyone. We just need to protect and guide." The crew worked together, piloting the refuser with skill and intuition. In the first operation, they stabilized a planet experiencing a natural energy collapse. The refuser's systems amplified human ingenuity, redirecting energy safely and protecting millions of lives. The alien observers could only watch in awe. "They did it," Mira said softly. "Humans, with the refuser, they saved millions, without a single weapon fired." Aaron nodded. "Exactly. We do not need to destroy to make a difference. That is humanity's strength." Word of the humans' success spread quickly across the galaxy. Alien fleets, once dismissive and arrogant, began to recognize that humans were not to be underestimated. Every other species had attempted to seize or destroy the refuser, but humans had done something far more impressive. They had earned its trust and used its power responsibly. Next, the humans navigated the refuser to uncharted star systems. They discovered planets rich in resources, ancient ruins of civilizations long gone, and signals from worlds that had never been contacted. Each discovery expanded humanity's understanding of the galaxy. The refuser adapted to their presence, guiding them through hazards, showing them the safest paths, and helping them understand alien technology. Humans learned quickly, not by force or dominance, but through observation, reasoning, and collaboration. In one system, a dying star threatened a cluster of planets. Human engineers, with guidance from the refuser, stabilized the star's energy flux, saving countless worlds from destruction. For the first time, the galaxy saw humans not as weak or insignificant, but as a species capable of extraordinary achievement. Outside, alien fleets reacted. Some were fearful, others envious. They had underestimated humans for centuries, assuming that only strength and aggression mattered. Now they saw that intelligence, morality, and courage could achieve far more than their fleets ever could. Aaron addressed his crew. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will test us. It will challenge us in ways we cannot yet imagine. But we have something no other species has, a ship that responds to our courage, our morality, and our intelligence. And we have the qualities that earned its trust." Mira smiled. "And the galaxy will see that humans are not just survivors. We are leaders in a way they never expected." The refuser pulsed, almost as if affirming her words. It had observed countless civilizations judge their worth, and now it had chosen humans to guide its power with wisdom and responsibility. Days turned into cycles as humans continued exploring, protecting, and learning. The refuser revealed advanced technologies, energy manipulation techniques, and navigation methods that allowed them to reach areas of the galaxy no one else could. Each mission demonstrated human uniqueness. They solved problems that aliens considered impossible, acted with moral judgment where others used force, and adapted to circumstances that no other species could survive. One day, a distress signal reached them from a remote cluster of planets. An alien civilization was trapped under an unstable energy field. Aaron and his crew worked quickly, using the refuser's systems to stabilize the field and evacuate the inhabitants safely. When the aliens recovered, they looked upon humans with awe and gratitude. "How did you?" one asked. "No one else could have done this." Aaron smiled. "We act carefully, with courage and thought. That is all." The refuser pulsed around them, as if proud. Humans had not only passed its tests, they were fulfilling its purpose. It had chosen a species capable of acting wisely, morally, and courageously. Back in the ship's central chamber, Aaron reflected on their journey. From the first encounter with the refuser, through trials of intellect, morality, and courage to the exploration of the galaxy, humans had proven themselves worthy. "The galaxy will never see us the same way again," Mira said softly. "No," Aaron agreed. "They will see that humans are not just survivors. We are problem solvers, explorers, and protectors. We are a species that can rise to challenges no one else can." The refuser pulsed gently, as if in agreement. For the first time in centuries, it had found a species worthy of partnership, and that species was human. As the ship glided through uncharted space, Aaron knew their journey was only beginning. The galaxy would present challenges, dangers, and mysteries, but humans were ready, with courage, intelligence, and morality guiding them, and with the refuser at their side, they could shape the future of countless worlds. Outside, alien fleets watched silently. They had laughed at humans, dismissed them as weak, and attempted to capture the refuser themselves. Now they could only watch in awe as humans, with no desire for domination, wielded a power far beyond what they had imagined. Aaron looked at the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. "This is our dawn," he said, "a new era for humanity. The galaxy will see us not as weak or insignificant, but as capable of greatness." Lieutenant Mira nodded. "And we'll show them that power comes from wisdom, courage, and heart, not just weapons." "Yes," Aaron said. "And the refuser chose us because we understand that. The galaxy will never forget humans again." The starship pulsed around them, a living, ancient consciousness acknowledging its choice. Humans had passed every test, faced every challenge, and earned the trust of a ship that had refused all others. And now, they were ready to step into the galaxy not as conquerors but as explorers, protectors, and leaders guided by courage, morality, and intelligence. The stars ahead shone brighter than ever. Humanity's new dawn had begun, and the galaxy would watch in awe.